The mall, a staple in the American pastime since the mid-20th century. Though some still thrive today in all their retail glory, others have fallen to the rise of our technology. So grab a hot pretzel and find a hard bench on which to relax, underneath a beautiful enclosed facade. And join me as we discuss the history of malls. Hello, I'm Sean. I will be talking about malls to you. My voice will say words that tell you things that happened at certain malls. Welcome to the history of malls. Thank you everyone for joining me today in this episode. I am going to cover a mall in my home state of California. I don't think I've covered one yet, which is weird, but today we'll be talking about a dead mall, dead as a mall, but multi-purpose later, and this mall is the Hawthorne Plaza Mall in Hawthorne, California. So Hawthorne is in the Los Angeles area, about 5 miles from LAX. You also have some notable people that are from Hawthorne, such as the Beach Boys, Tyler the Creator, Russell Westbrook, and Corrupt, who was on The Chronic by Dr. Dre and Doggy Style by Snoop Doggy Dogg. Now, Hawthorne Plaza Mall technically opened February 20th, 1977 with the 3 department stores in business. The rest of the mall opened the next day. For this mall, they built 3 different parking lots. 2 of them were on each side. They had walkways bringing you in, and then they also had an underground parking structure right under the mall that you could take an escalator up and go right into shop. On opening day, they had 103 stores to see. When the mall opened, it had 3 anchors, like I said, the Broadway, JCPenney, and Montgomery Ward. A want ad I found in the paper a couple days before the mall opened was Montgomery Ward was looking to hire people for their cafeteria. I had no clue Montgomery Ward had a cafeteria. Other stores you had an opening day were Miller's Outpost, Radio Shack, Kinney's Shoes, and some place that sounds amazing called Lord Byron's Pizza Pub. For the opening, the Los Angeles Times ran a large handout in Saturday's paper for the opening on Monday. It gave you a ton of information on the mall, plus a map. At 9:30 a.m. on opening day, the Hawthorne High School band played. Then the Hawthorne Boy Scout Color Guard did their flag thing. The mall had its ribbon cutting at 9:45 a.m., In the paper, it had 2 different coupons you could clip. One was for a free Frisbee, and one was for a t-shirt. There was only 5,000 of each, and it was first come, first serve only for opening day. The shirt had a slogan on it that said, "You can count on me," and had a picture of the mall's official mascot, Nate Hawthorne. He would be there the first couple of days, roaming the mall, doing a meet and greet with kids and whatnot. The mall looked pretty cool from the pictures, nice skylights, planters, normal awesome mall stuff. Now, one of the stores that was there on opening day is a mall staple, at least that I know of. It seems a little overpriced for what it is, but at Christmas time, you could assume you would be getting a box from here by someone who might not know your taste that well, but still wanted to get you something. With that said, the featured store for this week's episode is See's Candies. So See's Candies started as a family business with Charles See, his wife Florence, and his mother Mary. This was in 1921 and was first in Los Angeles after they moved from Ontario, Canada. The recipes were the mother's that she tinkered with while working at her late husband's hotel in Canada. In 1928, they started a delivery service where you could get See's Candies delivered to your door. It was pretty awesome, and I'll make sure I post a picture on my social media, but it was this dude riding a Harley with a sidecar that looked like a tiny See's candy store. They would open more shops throughout the area, and in 1936, they opened a store in San Francisco. This is when they decided to open up a kitchen where later became their headquarters in South San Francisco. Just to clear it up, South San Francisco is not San Francisco. It's its own town south of San Francisco. I used to live in South City, and just down the street from me was the See's headquarters. The reason why they opened the kitchen in South City is because of the climate. They wanted to make the creams and truffles in a cooler area. They had a little exhibit in the 1939 World's Fair in San Francisco where people got to try it for the first time and they could see the chocolates being made, which kind of reminded me of Disneyland on Main Street when you go by the candy shop there. In 1941, they opened a store in Bakersfield, which was the first of the iconic layout of the store, the pure white and black style that you see today. During World War II, we had rationings of products such as sugar, butter, and other items. We kind of touched on this in the episode where I talked about KB Toys. Instead of just fully closing down, they would just make way less, open up for the day in the morning until they were sold out and then close. So they didn't stay up open very long each day. They stayed afloat because of this and made it through the war. The famous episode of I Love Lucy in 1952, where she's working on the candy line, was filmed at the See's in Los Angeles. And it wasn't until 1961 that the See's family finally ventured out of California and opened up a new store in Phoenix. Then in 76, See's opened its first international store in Hong Kong. Now, in 1995, they opened their website for online shopping, which is pretty early for online shopping. But, I guess See's was that important to the world that they needed candy online for you to use dial-up and take 9 hours to buy one box of candies. Besides the little chocolates in a box, they make the lollipops. And if you know See's, you know these lollipops. It's the ones that seem to take 76 hours to finish from licking them constantly. They're well dense. In 2012, they made the largest chocolate lollipop that got them into the Guinness Book of World Records. It weighed over 7,000 pounds and was equal to 145,000 regular chocolate lollipops. It's a big lollipop. So as of now, See's is in 20 different states and has many stores around the world. Due to the coronavirus, they shut down their stores mid-March, but from their website, they are slowly opening some back up with social distancing and other requirements. So I'm curious to hear from people who have never had See's candies. Growing up in California, it's just always there. Whoever wants to tell me a story of their experience or non-experience, say something on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at History of Malls. Back to the Hawthorne Plaza Mall. In December of 1979, which is only 2 years after their opening, there was a gang-related shooting that happened outside the mall. A teenager was shot in the chest, but the mall resumed mall activities. So in 1983, the Hawthorne Plaza Mall teamed up with the Fox Hills Mall, which is now Westfield Culver City, and did a big sweepstakes. You didn't have to buy anything. You just simply had to go to the mall and enter to win. Employees of the mall and family members were not allowed to enter. Third place winner would get a night on the town. You pretty much win a free limo for the night. It doesn't say that you get dinner or anything like that. You just get a limo ride. Second place, you get the limo to pick you up, and $1,000 shopping spree to Hawthorne Plaza Mall and Fox Hills Mall. It specifically says and, so I don't know if you get $1,000 total for each mall or just $1,000 for both. The grand prize would be a trip for two to Hawaii, free flight, and 7 nights. That's a hardcore vacation right there. I found an article in 1986 about crimes at malls in the area. They were talking about car thefts, and in December of 85, 14 vehicles were stolen from the parking lot of the Hawthorne Plaza Mall. The best is they started talking about shoplifting and saying that older women are doing it a lot also. They interviewed a police officer named Bill Wood, and his quote was fantastic. It says, "Those old ladies are good boosters. People don't pay attention to them." On December 18th, 1988, the mall had shut down for a couple hours after some fights broke out because of a hot boy band performing a couple songs. The Boys, which was an R&B style boy band, and their age range was between the four of them, 9 years old to 14 years old. One of the members was even in the movie Ernest Goes to Camp, which is awesome. So they performed only two songs when I guess they were only supposed to perform one. They were promoting a food can drive at the mall. The song that they performed, the first one, was Dial My Heart, totally adding it to the playlist. It sounds like it would have an easy fit into the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. The fights didn't happen during their performance. I guess it's just all the teenagers hanging out there afterwards, just got into some mischief, and they closed the mall. During the 1992 riots, which I became very obsessed with for a long time, doing tons of research on it, it's just one of those things. The Hawthorne Plaza Mall closed after they were hit during the unrest. It was on the second day of the riots that the mall was looted after they closed at 1 p.m. The police made 15 arrests. All merchandise was accounted for, and the only injury was one of the people who were trying to get into the mall broke the window, hurting their hand. So as the 90s went on and decline with the economy, just like a lot of other malls, Hawthorne Plaza Mall closed. According to its Wikipedia page, it says March 1st, 1999. I could not find any info on the date being correct. It doesn't mean it's not. I just couldn't find anything. I scrolled through over 4,000 papers with the search of Hawthorne Plaza Mall, and I couldn't find anything. I did find that Ronald Moran Cadillac on Hawthorne Boulevard ran an ad almost every day in 1999. This place has recently closed, but it was in the 1976 version of Gone in 60 Seconds. So, yeah, the reason I added that is because I pretty much scrolled through 4,000 ads of this Cadillac place. I did find an article on February 5th that the mall was closing and only had 10 stores at the time, but it didn't give an exact date of the closure. In 2016, I found an article that people were using the abandoned mall to do drone racing, which seemed pretty awesome. Also, this same year, I found that the city decided to demolish the mall, but that hasn't happened yet. They kind of gave up on it in 2018, but the mall is still there, and there are other things being used for it. So in 2018, the developer of the mall, I'm at the time pretty sure it was a little iffy how it was written, who was hoping to do something with the abandoned mall, was arrested for paying off bribes so he could be the developer of the mall. He was paying bribes of $1,000 a month to a Los Angeles County clerk person to secure the lease, but he'd been doing that for 6 years, and there was also like a promise of buying a super fancy home. So it was this big scandal, but that was in the paper about that. But it's also, since it hasn't been a mall, it has been used for TV shows and movies. Some of these were Westworld, which was the reason I picked this mall, because I was just rewatching it since season 2 was really confusing, and I wanted to rewatch all of it before I got into season 3. But you can see it. That's what the whole basements and stuff in season 1 and some of season 2 were. It was also in Minority Report and Gone Girl and a bunch of other things. So that's the history of the Hawthorne Plaza Mall. If you have any good stories from this mall, there was a lot of dates in this one. I know it was just, I couldn't find too much really, really fun stuff, so sorry about the dates. But if you have any good stories from this mall, being in a movie or TV show that was filmed there, or just old family memories, I'd love to hear about your experiences. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at History of Malls. You can also email me at historyofmalls@gmail.com if you want to suggest a mall, tell me you like the show, hate the show, whatever. I haven't really said this Yeah, but if you would like to give me a review on Apple Podcasts or somewhere else, that would be great. It always helps. Also, at my website, which you can find linked on my social media, I have a donate button. I don't get paid to do this, but I really like doing it. So if you'd like to help in me buying a soda or pretzel, I'd appreciate it. For this week's song, we have View from the Moon by Stevia Sphere. Thanks again, and hope to hear from you soon.